Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna the Medium, and also an intuitive coach. Just very quickly, these are obviously general readings and they will not apply to all of you. So take bits and pieces that apply and throw away the rest. Listen to your other signs, your moon sign and your rising sign, as well as your sun sign, as these more often than not will paint a more complete picture of what is happening in your life. What I have noticed over the last year and a half or so from you is that these readings, generally speaking, will not make much sense to you at the very beginning, but they almost always make complete sense to you at the end of the month or the beginning of next. And I have many of you email me personally saying that it made no sense to you at the beginning, and then halfway through or the third week into the month you listened again and you were shocked how everything was coming out the way it was said. So always listen at the end of the month, because I feel that will connect with you much more so. Also, these are general. I cannot connect with every single one of you. There's thousands of you watching. So if you send me a comment asking how this fits in your life, it's impossible for me to answer that unless, of course, we connect on a one-on-one level. And if that's what you would like, that information is down below, and I would be honored to have a session with you. And I think that's all I have. I wish you a wonderful month of November. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching, for liking and sharing. I look forward to seeing you in December. And for those of you who are celebrating holidays, like in the United States, the Thanksgiving Day, I wish you a wonderful holiday. And without further ado, let's move on to the actual readings. Hello, beautiful Sagittarians. This is going to be your reading for the month of November 2017. I'm just going to turn the music down. Very interesting reading. I actually had to pull out a card for clarification. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So let me just go through channeled information. One of the things that I received right away, that month of November seems to be about balance and karma. And what is fantastic is that when I did the card afterwards, the card of karma actually came up in your present position. Return to status quo, organization of thoughts, potential, and I definitely saw a definite push towards a brand new beginning. And this is situational. So many of you in the month of November will be tying up loose ends. These loose ends can have to do with pretty much any area of your life. Relationship, unfinished business with regards to relationships, unfinished project at work, unfinished business with family members, friends. Basically, you understand, tying up loose ends is bringing things into completion and into a final stage in order for you to be able to move forward. It is also a month of a catalyst, I'm being shown, and it is going to serve as a springboard for moving forward. So there's a lot of potential here. The balance component was very, very clear in the way that whatever it is that you will be doing in the month of November, it has the potential to bring you into a more balanced state. Whether it is because you are finishing something that has been ongoing for quite some time, whether it is and you need rest, whether it is because you had some unfinished business and you're going to put all the cards on the table and get it resolved. Anything that will require you to finish up and is what seems to be very prevalent in the month of November. There's very much a feel of new beginnings coming your way. I'm hearing the month of January. So in many ways, this will serve as a catalyst, yes, and it's also a time of preparation for the new beginning. And the moment you go past the new year mark, I feel that's when a lot of new things will start for you. So I know that, or potentially will start for you. So even though it's a November reading, the energies are very fluid, so I will be shown different bits and pieces just so that it makes sense to you, because we can't just block energy into a 4-week block. That's not how it works. So let me just go through the cards. The cards that represent what you are leaving behind, that was interesting to me the most, because you have the card of Three of Cups and you also have the card of the Devil. The way I read cards, for those of you who are familiar with my work, I'm not a tarot reader, a traditional tarot reader, so I don't read cards in a traditional tarot way. I have my own intuitive hit of what that means, plus whatever my guide asks me to say. So what I felt this represents is that many of you will be leaving unhealthy relationships. Obviously, the card of temptation, which is unhealthy, and it is also the Devil represented in the traditional tarot deck, is something that binds us and does not allow us to fully be what we are meant to be. It is a restriction in every way, shape, or form that does not translate into freedom. Addictions, restrictions, connections to things that are not good for us, they don't make us free. They actually make us be more imprisoned. So the month of November is going to offer you an opportunity to either detach yourself from unhealthy relationships or let go of unhealthy beliefs about relationships. This is all to do with matters of heart, not only. It has, I want to say with work too, but it feels to me much more personal, and it feels to me on a deep level. So yes, can you be leaving an unhealthy relationship with work? Absolutely, unequivocally yes. But I'm talking about this is being something connected to the heart and broken heart. So again, leaving unhealthy relationships, your attachments to unhealthy attachments to people and situations, any sort of restrictions or addictions that you have that are connected to other people. So sex addiction, shopping, any kind of addiction really that serves as a crutch in order for you to keep going, because it is fulfilling a certain emotional need that is anything but the addiction. So, but you're letting go of that. There's a lot of he's asking me to add the numbers, and it's 3 and 15, which is 18. 1 and 8 is 9. So there's, even with that, the number 9 to me is a signifactor of endings. Definitely potential here for you to end something that has been long-standing. And long-standing could be a relationship that you are in that was unhealthy, addictions that you've had that were obviously unhealthy and they were long-standing, or belief systems that you have had for quite some time that stemmed from you getting hurt on some level. Could be as early back as your childhood, but that eventually represented a belief system within you that when it comes to relationship with other people, you either can't trust, you don't know how to connect with other people, whatever it is, any kind of unhealthy emotional attachments, there's a potential for you to free yourself from it in the month of November. And that energy is leaving you. So some of you may have already been dealing with this. Some of you may have started dealing with this in September. But that energy is still kind of there, but it's on the way out, is what I'm trying to say. The card that represents the now, you have the Karma card, or it's 10. No, not 10, sorry. It's the Wheel of Fortune. This is actually when I took a clarifier card, because something told me I just wanted to give a little bit more clarity as to what this is connecting to. And the card of Ace of Cups was on top of it as my clarifier card. Now, Ace of Cups is about repressed emotions. Guess what? We just talked about this. So you are coming full circle in the month of November, or potentially in the month of November, you'll have the ability to come full circle with something. The word karma is coming as well, and I believe that is that is also a word that's associated with Wheel of Fortune. Karma was something that was channeled to me before I even put out the card. So when I actually saw the card, I kind of started to laugh because I thought, amazing. So there's definitely a completion. This can also signify that karmically speaking, you are ending a cycle. You are ending a cycle of suffering that is based in your emotions, and you are ending a cycle with someone that feels, with something or some situation or someone that feels very karmic. For certain, this can mean ending an unhealthy relationship that had a karmic component. Now, he's asking me to define the word karmic. So karma, in my understanding, is basically your our ability to experience a physical existence from a specific point of view or from a certain perception or a certain angle. So karma doesn't necessarily mean you've killed somebody and now somebody's going to have to kill you. It doesn't quite work that way. But it does signify that when you are in a relationship that has a lot of turbulent components in it, chances are it's very karmic because you're working together to balance out some energy. Now, this doesn't always have to be with a person. It can most certainly be with a situation at work. But guess what? Situations with work, we don't go just to work. We go to people at work. So there's definitely a component here of you ending something that feels very karmic, that has connection to your past life. And I rarely give that message. Actually, for some reason, I never do. But he's asking me to say this, so I'm assuming many of you will resonate with this notion. And it has a lot to do with suppressed emotions. So very similar to what the past is or what energy you are leaving behind. Pretty much the same thing is being said. You are at the end of a cycle. It is also a card of luck for sure. Wheel of Fortune is a card of luck. But let's look at it this way. If you are going to end a karmic cycle, if you are going to let go of addictions, if you are going to potentially free yourself from something that has been holding you back, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, or whether it's a mindset that has transpired when you were 5, that is luck to me. That is definitely something that is very lucky. So it's very... outcome of it is fantastic because, again, it brings you to balance and it brings you to the status quo, which is harmony. But I want to say status quo to me is a negative. Status quo just means everything coming up to a balanced state. So fantastic, particularly when you're dealing with health and any kind of addictions that are obviously not good for you. Letting that go and freeing yourself from it most certainly will offer you a more balanced state of your mind and also emotions. Now, they talked about organization of thought. So as you let go of a lot of things, or let me say it differently, because you will have certain analytical spin on things in the month of November. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is that all of a sudden you may start to perceive things very, very differently. You may hear or see something or read something that will make you go, oh my gosh, I never thought of this way. And all of a sudden a whole new avenue of how you look at the world potentially opens up to you. And that would have been spurred by a thought of something that you heard, read, or saw. So there's definitely a component of your thoughts being reorganized or organized in such a way that will propel you to move forward. When we have our thoughts all over the place, particularly when we're dealing with addictions and other components that are unhealthy or, or not satisfactory, then our mind is going to be all over the place. So organizing your thoughts can certainly put a different spin on things because, for one, you're not going to feel as all over the place, which emotionally is going to make you feel much more balanced. So that's what he's asking me to say. Now, what is influencing you, or should we go to your future? Yeah, let's go to what is influencing you. What is influencing you right now, or what is influencing all of this? Very interesting. 3 cards came up. The cards that came up, and I'm going to put it together because the message is the combination of those cards. There's a throat chakra, which is all about communication. You've got the Tower, which is, well, we know what that is. And you have the card of 4 of Swords, which in this case says rest and rejuvenation. So the reason why this is all happening, or what is propelling you to make changes, or what is influencing you to go in that direction, is something that transpired some time ago. Somebody, you had to speak to about something, you said something that was bugging you for a long time, you snapped, you decided to no longer keep quiet, you decided to no longer be the piece that moves around because other people tell you to do. Something happened when you spoke, and you triggered a set of events that is symbolized by the tower. Now, we know what a tower is. Here, tower, it basically says this disruption. When tower shows up, and this is influence, it's not what is happening. When a tower shows up, SHIT happens in our life, okay? Now, he's asking me to say, it may not just have been you that said something, it might be somebody else that said something, and then whatever ensued ended up being the tower moment. So what is a tower? Tower is when life in our world becomes very chaotic. He's asking me to give examples. Relationship all of a sudden is going sideways, or to the garbage, or to the ground. Our work is such that we either need to leave work, work is leaving us, we get fired, we get laid off, company closes down, whatever it is. A family member decides to, I don't know, stab you in the back. This is just an example that's coming. So tower is pretty much anything that is, for the most part, not based in feeling good. But at the same time, the tower is a card that is meant to shake us up in order to start a brand new process, and for many of us, a brand new beginning. Because of this, you need some rest. So this is Four of Swords, is I believe the card traditionally means rest after a battle. So there's no question here that what you have been going through was, for some of you, traumatic. Some of you may have lost someone, but it has, because there is a component of you expressing. You may have said something in order to speak your truth, and then all of a sudden, from that moment on, when you spoke your truth, everything else took a different turn, because all of a sudden you can't hold any longer, and you need to speak your piece, and you speaking your piece triggers a whole bunch of events that basically end up changing your life in some way, shape, or form. So that's what's influencing you to let go of attachments, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy job situations, unhealthy belief systems, unhealthy thought patterns, blah, 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 all this stuff. That is what is influencing. That's what's being influenced. And the card of karma, or the card of good luck, is a card of completion. So many of you are experiencing a massive shift. He's asking me to say this, massive shift. He's also saying many of you have had to face your biggest fears. He's showing me a certain image of actually facing your fears, and many of you had to look into a mirror and recognize some aspects of you that you really didn't want to see. But that's where freedom eventually comes, when we are able to look at certain things within ourselves and be honest, frank, and honest, transparent with ourselves first and foremost. That can bring a great sense of peace and freedom down the road. Why? Because you choose to no longer hide from yourself. So huge here. Now let's talk about what is upcoming. Your future card is represented by Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so when I saw this card in reverse, I thought, yeah, whatever. But basically what it means to me is that you're going through a massive shift. You have had a lot of turbulence in your recent past, or in some distant past, but that was still affecting you today. It simply just means that in the month of November, there's going to be a whole bunch of things that will be happening, and you will be tying things up. You will be, finishing some loose ends, or finishing up some loose ends. And it just simply means that in the month of November, you may find yourself momentarily or briefly not having a clear vision of where you want to go. That's okay. Remember what I said at the beginning. Your new beginning, potentially your new beginning, is going to transpire more towards end of this year, beginning of next. So I want to look at December, January, more so January than December. What does this mean? It could mean that you may not know what to do with your relationship. You may not know what you want. You may not know what to do with your work or where you're going. You may simply be, and this is in a physical, in our physical existence. So things that we have, things that we own, things that we connect to on a physical level. Most likely relationships, some health, yes, but also work. And you may feel a little bit lost in the month of November. But remember, when we let go of things that were holding us back, so basically we're letting go of a part of us that represents our identity, our concept. When we let go of that, there is a momentary space of time where we feel slightly confused, because this is no longer to rely on. This doesn't define us anymore. So what does define us? We don't know. That's for you to find out. Hence why I saw you pushing forward to a brand new beginning, but you cannot have a brand new beginning until you tie up some loose ends. Otherwise, your brand new beginning is going to attach itself to the crap that you have left behind but haven't really finished. So with that said, if you feel a little bit put off in the month of November, if you feel a little bit lost, if you feel like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, what am I going to do? Know that it's going to last for very little time. It's not going to be a long-term thing for you, but it is important for you. Next card, when I said, what do they need to focus on? Nap. This says time for a nap. Pretty self-explanatory. I specifically said, what do they need to focus on? This is what you need to focus on. Okay? So yes, you may not have a lot of vision in the month of November. You may not have a lot of clarity with where you're going. You may feel like you are suspended and you're kind of feeling a little bit stuck. That's okay. This is time for you to take rest. It is necessary for you to do this, because as you go through this conclusion, and many of you will conclude a certain aspect of your life, whether it is addiction, whether it is unhealthy behaviors, whether it is unhealthy thoughts, whether it is unhealthy relationships, whether it is yada, 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 whatever it is for you, many of you will put a lid on it, put it on the shelf, and just call it a day. And that's a metaphor. So there's a lot of endings with this. I want to say completions more so than endings. Now, he's asking me to say again, cycles. So karmically speaking, many of you will be ending struggles. When we choose to end something, oftentimes it feels slightly annoying. Why? Well, because we've been with something for quite some time which has defined who we are. And then when we let that go, like I said earlier, we may feel like we are kind of lost. Like there's a part of us that's missing that was always there. And even though it wasn't healthy, at least it was there and stable. And now you're feeling a little bit lopsided. But as you go through the rest of the year, particularly, November and December, resting will allow you to refresh your memory of what it is that you are looking for going forward. Now, why did he say refresh your memory? Because many of you have gotten stuck in a rut and you have forgotten who you are. When we forget who we are, we end up doing things for the sake of doing it, or because we have to, because it is something we were told, because there are expectations of us, and all the other things that we do while we put ourselves aside. Remember, the month of November has the potential to offer you much greater balance, to bring you to a status quo, to help you organize your thoughts that will allow you to have a brand new beginning going forward. So this is absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited with this reading. And even though it means that there will be some upsets along the way. There's definitely going to be challenges. For the most part, or as a whole, this is it's almost like you're closing a chapter. And how apropos it is that we're going to end a year. We're ending a year essentially in 2 months, and you are ending a certain chapter. So in the new year, you begin a brand new chapter, like a little chick hatching from its egg. Fantastic. I'm just seeing somebody getting recognition. So some of you will be recognized for a work well done. Some of you who are in the army, for those of you who are in the army or in service to a community, to a country, you will be recognized either by a word, by a medal, by some kind of recognition. This can also be for work. You may be recognized with something that is very specific to you or very meaningful to you. It may also signify, or it also signifies for some of you, that you will finally get the recognition you are looking for. Your partner, your child, your family, your work, but most important, yourself. Perhaps some of you are going to begin to recognize your own worth. And let me tell you, when we decide to let go of things that don't serve us, addictions, and you know, addictions are not just drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Addictions could be as simple as being with somebody who is abusive because that's what you're used to and you don't know any different. When you let go of this, it is certainly on a road to you recognizing your own worth, because in order to let go of something like this, you have to recognize that it is not worth it and you are bigger and better than whatever is holding you back. And with that, I feel like I want to draw a big heart. Isn't that interesting? So for many of you, this is going to be around relationships and love. And for some of you, this is going to be about work and around health. But I think for many of you, this is going to be around relationships. I hope this made sense. Very dynamic reading. I really like it, actually. And I want to say good for you. And many of you have struggled with this for quite some time. So good for you. By the way, don't be afraid to say no and put your foot down. So some of you will understand what this means. Now, always remember, and I've learned over the last couple of years doing these readings, that they almost always never make sense at the beginning of a month, but they almost always make complete sense at the end of the month or the beginning of a new month. And I get emails from you all the time and notes, comments saying that I listened at the beginning, made no sense, and now it's towards the end of the month, and oh my God, I can't believe this is actually what's happening in my life. So word of caution, he says, don't get yourself too busy. That's interesting. So if he's just asking me to throw this, I'm just going to leave it at that, because then we're getting a little bit too long there. Thank you so much for watching, for sharing, for liking, for subscribing. There are many amazing readers out there, so thank you for giving me your time and your energy. And I do hope that this helps you and allows you to move forward in a much more expansive way. If you would like a private session, of course, that information is down below, and I would be more than honored. And until the month of December, I wish you best of luck. Take care.